Very good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you. It is currently the Friday 100% division. Here it is season 2, round 2. We're off to the Temple of Speed tonight. Well, the Drivers' Championship is going to look a lot like the results from last week because, well, last week was round 1 in Bahrain. JP, of course, taking the win that evening, followed by F1 Mikey Boy, MCL, then it's Matt Connor and Sherry Rudberg rounding out your top 5, and Sherry Rudberg has been promoted to the Alpine, so he has gone from reserve to full-time, and, well, there we go. So, Rudberg with a bit to prove tonight. So, with Dan Lovett, Hash, Chucky, Harry, and Dan Bliss rounding out your top 10, with 11th to 15th being I Have No Grip, Mr. Traps himself, Matt Shooter, Big Bruiser, and Rendog. And then your points, well, your non-point scorers include the Williams I've just mentioned, with Meldrum, Dinosaur, Paul Codd, Kevin Baker, and Josh. For your Constructors' Championship going into tonight, well, Aston Martin taking maximum points out of Bahrain, 45 points. Can that streak continue for the British-based team? Let's wait and see, as Sauber are second, third are Alpine, fourth are Red Bull, and Williams in fifth. 6th to 10th is the Racing Bulls, McLaren, Haas, and rounding out the no-point scorers at the moment, the Tifosi Ferrari and the Mercedes. It's an 18-minute session qualifying to get things underway, and then, of course, 53 laps round the Temple of Speed. First opened in 1922. This current iteration has 11 turns at a length of around 5.8 kilometers, which rounds out to 3.6 miles. The race lap record as of today is held by Rubens Barrichello, and that is that is from 2004 in the Ferrari F2004, appropriately named. Now, the name Circuit di Milano was used at first, and it wasn't actually until 1928 when the circuit actually got changed to what we know and love today, which is Monza. And it's been a constant talking point back in the old days of Formula 1 when it was just like, establishing itself. It was always a constant point of safety. For example, here we're looking at its deckers. Here, teammate to Elthaniel, who just going under the bridge there, which actually holds the oval part of the circuit, which was raced, I think it was up until either 1968 or 1969. And that was, of course, featured in one of my favourite racing movies of all time called Grand Prix. And that was all the way from 1966, actually dramatically covering the 1965 Grand Prix season there. And it's a great movie. Highly recommend you watch it. But anyway, lots of changes here. Actually, the first Variante here, which, of course, Deckers will approach to going on his first flying lap, used to be a bit of a Singapore sling section. It went left, right, and then it would go on to the second Variante. That has all since been changed, but I think it's from around about the early 2000s here. I would say about 2001, maybe 2002, where this iteration of the circuit has been mostly untouched for its 23-year period now. But Monza has seen over 103 years of racing from various motorsport categories. It holds a lot of history over its century of hosting motor racing circuits. At the moment, though, of course, we've had to say goodbye to a few drivers. So those were going into tonight: MCL, Matt Connor, and Michela. Of course, Michela was an F2 champion from last season, and of course, from all of us here at NRRL, we do wish them all the best. And for whatever may hold for them next, obviously, we hope you are successful. And, well, we have a look now. So, to who can take this away? We've got JP here. We don't have Mikey Boy this time around either. So, that's another one to look out for. But Hash was also very quick in qualifying. Like, you got to remember, like, Hash there qualified second, but could only manage 7th place. So, hopefully, over the week that has come around, he's worked on his race pace. It's Deckers. It's coming to the line now. At the top, of course, first across the line. But Dan Lovett quickly takes that away. A 1:20.004 there. So not bad at all from Dan. As Hash now next to cross the line. He's qualifying second for the time being. But what I really want to see more potential from is I Have No Grip. He started at last race on pole position, but just fell down the field. And I just feel like he has a lot more. And Den Bliss as well. Den Bliss was somebody I was surprised with, in all honesty. Qualified 4th, but then couldn't finish in the top 5. Had to settle for 10th place. And I was very, very surprised there that Den Bliss suffered that much. Of course, was really, really good in his few races last season. but sadly, the opening just really didn't get off the ground for him. But I Have No Grip now is, well, not too far away. Just under half a tenth, well, just over half a tenth there, beg your pardon. For Den Bliss there, as Sherry Rudberg, now recently promoted to Alpine with all the driver changes that we've had, up to third place there. So a good first banker from him, but Harry as well, what might be one to look out for. Had a bit of an average start last week, 9th place in qualifying, 9th place in the race. Can he do better tonight? Maybe the straight line, the high-speed nature of the Italian circuit might fare just that little bit better. Currently 14th, but with no time on the board. We'll see what he can do from 14th place, as there's another time coming in, and JP's dropping back a little bit. And just to give you reference, he qualified 3rd last week, but there is a lot of time in the session to go, so this is all just banker laps, just getting their references in, as Harry goes up into 5th in the Racing Bulls driver. Mr. Traps here with us tonight, actually did start with us last week as well. He found 10th place in qualifying, but had to settle for 12th place there. Of course, everybody, as long, well, actually, so a bit of a fun fact here, as long as everybody finishes, everybody is guaranteed points. So, just so that you get this, the top 6 are 25 points from 1st to 6th, 20 points for 2nd, 18 points for 3rd, 15 points for 4th, 5th gets you 12 points, and then 10 points for 6th, and then from 6th to 15th, it is 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So everybody is guaranteed points as long as you finish tonight, and I think that's going to be the one thing on everybody's mind, as Mr. Traps there goes up into 12th place, where he finished last week. But Red Dog there, without a representative time on the board, it just sounds like he may have had an error on his first fly, because he's in the 125, slowest of the bunch, might not be there for much longer. He was nearly 4 seconds over his personal best, coming to sector 2, and that is only 13th place there. Unlucky 13, as Dinosaur in the background. They're starting a lap, so let's go on board with the American team holding, I think it is a British driver as of right now, going into the first Variante. And he gets that done rather successfully, actually. That was a lot of the track that's used, but that is what you would expect. And now you have Curva Grande through here. The right-hander is trying to use a slipstream there from the Williams, but won't be getting any of it because the Williams is not punching a hole through the air. It's now the second Variante there, and that's actually very smooth from Dinosaur here, but is it quick though? We'll have to wait and see. Now it's the first of 2 Lesmos. Right-hander there, very wide. I'm surprised the lap is still validated, to be honest with you. Not quite using all the track on the exit of the second Lesmo there, so maybe a few tenths here and there being lost. As the Haas there was nearly on the gravel, as I Have No Grip straight to pole position, was there last week, but now it is Ascari here, and now he's got that done okay. And now down the straight between Ascari to what we call Parabolica. And braking at the 50-meter board there, which is about right, but it's very late. It's left him with a bit of oversteer, understeer even, but that lap has been invalidated at Ascari there. I saw that rather late, so I do apologise. He's going to get onto another fly, but it's not going to be representative. But either way, I Have No Grip bouncing through second Variante is topping the timing boards by over 2 tenths of a second from Den Bliss. So let's see who else is out on a flyer as well. Mr. Traps has decided to go out onto another. He's on 2-lap-old softs as we speak, and actually, no, he's just done that lap, because as you can see there, that delta, this graphic even, I should say, compares to the best lap you've done and what tyre you were on. So he's actually come off of a lap there. That is 12th place, and he stays put for the time being after his first lap. So impressive stuff from I Have No Grip so far, trying to make it 2 poles in a row, and we'll see if he will stay there. Of course, there's still about over half the session to go. Usually we're about halfway, but it is a shorter lap through here, so I'd say we're around between 9 to 12 minutes. Once that caution in Sector 3 flag goes away, we can give you a more accurate time. And Mercedes just went across the line there. That is Elthaniel here in the Mercedes. Struggled with his name last week. Hopefully I could do better this week. I did just have to ask someone very briefly just how to say his name, as it's always those funny combination of letters that just does my brain in. But he's not the only one. It's been some names have just been like that for me, but I hope everybody appreciates that. I do try very hard to make sure I get pronunciations right, and I do apologize, as Elthaniel does get invalidated through the second Variante. Very easy to do that. Cutting to the Williams driver now, Dan Lovett, current champion here in the Friday divisions. And he's looking to make it 2 in a row, but is it going to be easy? Lots of competition around him. Hash has made some improvements. You got Den Bliss as well, and Sherry Rudberg making great first impression in the Alpine so far. Just for Sherry Rudberg, he got 6th in qualifying and then 5th in the race, but and love it invalidating through the second Lesmo, and a sense of frustration there as he weaves his Williams through the straight there. Just be careful, you've got to kick Sauber on an outlap, but luckily no invalidation. Let's have a look at JP, last week's race winner from 3rd place here, and was the only guy who qualified in the top 3 to actually stay in the top 3 through qualifying, and that does happen quite a bit across all the leagues, so I don't know if this is just qualifying to the race kind of deal, as Hash there goes up into 2nd place, but JP, one to look out for, only 6th place there, so he is way behind where I would have expected him to be personally. I don't know if there is just some intentional sandbagging here in qualifying, but I highly doubt it as well, as we see Matt Tudor to the line, an improvement of over 3/10, but he remains 11th for the time being, with just under a 10th to the Ferrari in front, as Den Bliss is also on another flyer here. Was hoping for better, qualified 4th last week, but only got 10th place. Chucky to the line as well, so both Red Bulls having a good qualifying session so far. 7.5 minutes just under to go, and we'll see how Den Bliss can do on this flying lap, but he's already nearly 2 tenths up in sector 1. Oh, and a bit of a hit on the sausage curb there through the second Variante. He has a moment on the exit, but he's got to find a way to gather it all back up and find another flying lap. Of course, Track Evolution doing its thing, and just in case you are new to F1 25 League Racing or anything like that, first and foremost, welcome on into NRRL. Thank you for choosing this league as your place to go. Track Evolution is where the track surface isn't fully rubbered in, so as drivers drive on the surface and get the racing line rubbered in through the tires, then the track becomes faster because there's more friction between the surface and the tire. So that's why you see the times go down over the 18-minute session. It is a very dramatic Track Evolution, though. It does go very quickly. Usually it takes a full weekend in Formula 1. Sometimes that's why they have the free practice sessions. But anyway, that is Den Bliss to the line here on top of the timing boards, and he is currently with a 1:19.2 as Hash there going into the pits, as Chucky also is probably going to do the same, but he's invalidated his lap as Sherry Rudberg is now on a flyer. He's actually he's just come off an outlap, so let's keep an eye on the Alpine driver, as he is now let's see, Harry is there's been a bit of chatter in the Discord here saying Harry Den Bliss, Harry to Den Bliss saying, send me the traction files please bro, as JP is asking, what am I seeing? So something there shocking the drivers in terms of Den Bliss. They are not sure why he's on a 1:19.2 at the moment, and Harry suspects there are some traction files at play. I think that is just banter between the drivers though, so nothing to look into too dramatically. But Sherry Rudberg with just over half a second to pull. He's got 3.5 tenths through sector 2. I didn't quite see what it was through sector 1 though, so let's see what he can do through sector 3. It's Deckers, I think, just came across the line there for 6th position. Dinosaur still without a lap here. He's just going through second Variante as well. We'll cut back to that when we get the earliest opportunity. I just want to finish this lap with Sherry Rudberg there, but either way, he's doing a fine job getting to the line, and that's 3rd place again, just over 2 tenths. Let's have a look at the only driver without a time, and that is going to continue. That is another invalidation. You can see there where the track map being red that he has invalidated track limits there, so that means he will have to try again, and there's not a lot of time now. You've had over 10 minutes now to try and set your first banker, but now you are pretty much setting up for your final flying lap, and well, all the approximations, all the breaking points you have met are now irrelevant, and you are going to have to try and put something together basically on a hope, on a prayer and a wish. And so that's pretty much the pressure. The pressure cooker is very high there with Dinosaur. Mr. Traps will be coming to the line, I think, to set another flyer, as Chucky has retired from the session in the pit lane. So he's our first retirement here, and he is not, well, he's happy with where things are. He does not feel he can improve. But Mr. Traps on the exit of Ascari, surprisingly didn't use more of the track, but still nearly half a second. But again, he doesn't move. He has stayed 12th yet again. He must be frustrated. He needed another 0.3 of a second to even equal Matt Tudor's 120.6. So Mr. Traps there pretty much stuck in 12th and has nowhere to go. As I Have No Grip now is trying to get another lap in. He will have time to get a couple of more once he gets into the line, as he's 0.3 up in Sector 2. But Den Bliss will surely be observing this and thinking, I think I can do it. As, Elton Isle with a 5th-place grid penalty for a collision with Hash. And, well, it's not going to mean really a whole lot. He just goes down to 15th place if Dinosaur still cannot set a time. And best lap I've ever done in Monza, and it's 6th place. As hello to you, Deckers. Welcome to the stream chat. As I Have No Grip finds a 118 to demolish the time of Den Bliss. And all of a sudden, he needs to get to work in a Kick Sauber, which struggles with its rear end. What a lap from I Have No Grip. Goodness me. And even Harry, with the reaction there in the Discord, saying, McLaren, please, Dan. He is not happy with his Racing Bulls at the moment. And, he's even saying, I can barely do a 119.9. Never mind an 18.8. Goodness me. What a lap, as Hash there has invalidated his outlap. Doesn't matter, really. But here we go. We need to have a look at JP here. Of course, your regular commentator here in the Nitro Realistic Racing League. But has taken up a full-time seat to make up the numbers here on the Friday. And so I have taken over commentary duties here. But at the moment, it has been a good start to the championship so far. And I just hope it continues here. 15 drivers tonight, of course, down a little from the 18 we had last week, but regardless, that is still a very good number, and there is still lots of racing to be had. And with the high-speed nature of the track being as it is, lots of DRS zones, but JP invalidates through Ascari, and he'll have to try again if he has enough time, but he needs to recharge the battery. Meldrum actually has also gone to the line, a couple of moments ago. 6th place now. Meldrum really struggled. 16th in Bahrain and didn't finish that race. But now with a top 10 at his team's home Grand Prix, can he deliver the goods? Well, I think he's delivered about as much as he can do. He's now into the pit lane. We have a Red Bull going slowly as well. I imagine that is Hash. It is indeed. Something's happened to him. I'm sure we were looking at him not too long ago. Maybe just on a cooldown lap. Does he have enough time to get back round as he's trying to get the dust and dirt off his tyres? Dinosaur is also out on a flyer. The only driver not to set a time throughout the session. And this really is his last chance here. I do believe he's on his final flyer and he's all over the track. He's not sticking to one line through the straight. Of course, that is a bit difficult as it does kink in the middle just before the bridge. But there you go, only 45 seconds. This is the Haas's last chance to get a time on the board. It doesn't really matter. He'll start 14th at worst due to Elton Isle's 5-place grid penalty with contact with Hash. Let's see what he can do. The Haas to the line. It's not going to be a representative time at all. It's a 1:25.542, unless if he's actually slowed it right down and is on another flyer, but only he will know that at the moment, as Meldrum has now retired, so he feels, he cannot go any further. Indeed, he came into the pits with just over a minute to go, so there was no way he was going to get his tyres changed in time. Den Bliss, though, will be one of the first across the line, but it will be the Racing Bulls of Harry as the timer is now done. But Harry invalidates through Ascari, so his qualifying is over. Most of the top 5 and even to the top 6 have finished their laps. Den Bliss is still going, though. He may be purple on his personal best, but is he purple on I Have No Grip? We are going to find out after Parabolica. Just a few more moments to go. Parabolica now a bit tight on the inside. You don't really want to be taking the grass there, but using all of his line to try and get the best entry. That might have been a little much. It was not quite there. It was just under 600ths of a second, but Dan Lovett now with a bit of work to do. What about JP? These two are out on track at the 7 point. Just about. Dinosaur is invalidated. What about Mr. Traps? Also invalidated. So that means it will be Dan Lovett First to the line in that Williams. There's JP just behind him. Might be getting a small toe from the Williams, but that Aston Martin of Mr. Trump's very nice to get out of the way. Does he get out of the way of JP? Indeed, and rather graciously so. As Dan Lovett slow through Parabolica. Very, very slow indeed. He's given up on that lap. And now it is just down to JP. Can he get a better lap for pole? 9th place for JP, who was 3rd last week and is not even in the top 5. He is only just by the skin of his teeth in the top 10. Work to do for JP as he goes into the session. But I have no grip. Takes pole for the 2nd race in a row. But can he stay there? Trapped, not happy with his lap at all. He was never in touch with the top 10 at all in that session. And JP even saying, what are these lap times? Jesus Christ. His words exactly. Your official qualifying results. After all of that, I have no grip. Dembliss, Sherry Rudberg, Hash and Chucky round out your top 5, with 6th to 10th being Meldrum, Deckers, Dan Lovett, JP and Harry, with 11th to 15th being Matt Tudor, Rendog, Mr. Traps, Elthanile, and Dinosaur with the slowest of the lot by over 6 seconds. So a lot of work for Dinosaur to do. And, well, drivers saying they're nowhere near, like Harry. You might, I wouldn't want to know what Dinosaur's thinking right now, because I bet you he feels like he is in another country right now. He must feel like he's all the way in China or something like that. He is so off the pace. Over 3 seconds to his next opponent. That is going to be well, if there's a big difference in his race setup, he better have been sandbagging. That's all I can say for free. But at the moment now, we are going to take a couple of minutes. We'll be on a bit of a break here in the NRRL league here. It'll be just 2 minutes, and then we will be back with you very, very soon. Don't go anywhere. 53 laps of action here at the Temple of Speed to come your way. As that song fades out, we now fade in to the Monza Grand Prix. Welcome back, everybody. It is the Friday 100% division, so that means all 53 laps will be completed by the drivers, whatever happens. Harry hoping for a safety car, as is Traps. And, well, there's some drivers worried about having to do lift and coast. Den Bliss, one of the drivers worried about that. So lifting and coasting into the corner, that's certainly something he will have to do from what he has told us in the Discord here. Now, if he really does need a safety car, so 3 drivers hoping for a safety car to try and make a strategy work. But it's never, I mean, you can't really do the 1 stop here like you would do in a half-distance Grand Prix. You're on a 2 or 3 stop, but here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. It's going Italy, and that is a good start there from Den Bliss, but I Have No Grip was better off the line there, and that was, yeah, no, that is I Have No Grip, keeping the lead for the time being. A lot of shuffling in the midfield. Oh my goodness me! The Williams of that was the Williams of Dan Lovett making contact with the Mercedes of its Deckers, and he gets a 3-second penalty for track limit violations. Not his fault at all. That was, I think, Dan Lovett going into the side of the Mercedes there, as now the 2 Aston Martins swap positions, and Harry and JP are now swapping position, and there's, oh my goodness me, there's more chaos, there's more contact. Oh my goodness me! What a chaotic start to this Grand Prix. Red Dog now is down to 10th place. I think that was Dan Lovett who made contact with its Deckers. That would make the most sense considering where they're positioned. But either way, lots of chaos. And now there's a McLaren off. There's another Mercedes off. That is Alpha Isle there. Off into the gravel on the exit of Lesmo 2, and Den Bliss is still fighting for the lead as we go through, but now through Ascari. Are you serious? Yes, you are. Meldrum fights back round the outside, but that will be a track limits warning for the home team. That's now, oh my goodness me, there's more end plates flying. There's carbon fiber flying away to space, and I don't know if that's going to come back down to Earth anytime soon. I think an alien might have got them and teleported that to their home planet. But anyway, needless more about that. But here we go, action on planet Earth here. It says actually a bit of swapping in the background there between Dan Lovett and JP. Dan Lovett and JP, of course, had quite the scrap last season in Monza. JP holding up Dan Lovett's progress to try and win that race at the Red Bull Ring last season, but JP makes easy work of Dan going into turn 1 on lap 2. And while we've had already 1 lap of chaos, we've got 52 to go. And now there's a mistake. Oh, no, sorry, that's a Williams right there. That is Dinosaur into the back of Dan Lovett there. Something went flying there, and that was his front left end plate there, and he's going to go wide and allow Harry through. What about Mr. Traps there? Not able to do anything into the second Lasmo, but he will have the DRS on the exit. But also what I'm looking out for is that battle for second. Hash is 2.5 tenths back, but this is providing great entertainment for us. And at the moment now, they're talking. Oh, but the Hash of Dinosaur goes into the gravel through Ascari. He rejoins onto the track. Careful. And now there you go. He has to give room to the Alpine and go all the way off the track as Dinosaur there has basically had a great start there from 15th, and all of a sudden it's now missing a large portion of his left wing. Has to come in to get that repaired. He cannot continue. I Have No Grip with the fastest lap of 1:23.5. Does that mean that the Red Bull has a chance at second place? Yes, he does. That Kick-Sauber squeezes to the Red Bull all the way to the inside, as now there is a retirement on track here. Oh, but it's a safety car. Full safety car deployed after only 3 laps. And well, everybody has to follow a safety car delta until they reach the safety car line. But Dinosaur, I don't know if he got that. I think he honestly just crashed it while going into the pit lane entry. I don't think there was any malice in that, so that is rather sad for Dinosaur. Just to give you an idea, he did not finish the race last week either, so that's the second race in a row he will not finish. And Trap says a bit early, so he wanted the safety car a bit later in the race. Didn't quite happen for him, so we'll see how that goes. But Harry is saying, Traps are contacting Harry saying, I have a POV if you need it. Not quite sure what for then, but then again, there was so much contact on lap 1, it's hard to decipher everything. But one of the big ones we saw, Harry into the side of Deckers there on the start finish straight of lap 1, and that just sent Deckers flying off into the first Variante there. And, well, I'm not quite sure what quite happened there. I don't know if Dan Lovett was trying to avoid something on there. But either way, not a good start for Deckers. as he begins his racing career with NRRL in this round. So that would be the best first impression, I will say. Dan, yeah, there we go. And there we go, Deckers. Yeah, confirming. Well, I say confirming, but Dan ruining my race already in turn 1 if it was him. And I do believe it was, just how cars were positioned and everything. So obviously that will go to the stewards as we have a caution in sector 3 somehow. And I don't think that will be for anything. I think that is just a glitch with the timing graphics there. As you can see the safety car on your screen now. And a couple of drivers into the pits. It is Chucky and Sherry Rudberg. And I think that is not the pit stop they would have wanted to make. So they are on 3-stop strategies now. I do believe. Let's just check the race director real quick just to see what tyres they came off of. And in fact, there you go. You can see Sherry Rudberg came off of mediums, as did Chucky. And, well, Deckers came off hard tyres onto medium. So Deckers does need to make another stop, as do the others around him. But Deckers won't be able to go as long as the two in front of him. But they've all completed their mandatory stop to switch onto a different compound. So they can go to the end on another compound if they so wish. But, of course, that will depend on how long these hard tyres and medium tyres go for the 3 drivers pitting early in this Monza Grand Prix. Having a look at your biggest winners and losers. Well, Dembliss and I Have No Grip remain as they were. Your biggest loser in all of this, Rudberg there, starting 3rd, down 10 positions. I Have No Grip literally said as he came into the race this evening, don't worry, I will lose pole all on my own, but after 4 laps, he is still there with all the grip to give. As there's a Mercedes in the background there, Elfin Isle, currently deciding if he just wanted to visit his alien overlords or not, as he continues to do so. Chucky following close behind there, of course, one of the 3 drivers to make a pit lane under this early safety car. I do believe the safety car is on reduced, though, but that was a very quick call from Virtual Race Control, and we are going to have another lap under these conditions. So we'll begin lap 5 out of 53 under safety car, but then we will begin lap 6 out of 53, and the car should just pull into the pits, and we will continue racing as we were there. What is going on in the background there between JP and Hash? As one of the strangest spins under SC that I've ever seen in my entire commentary career. Skips the corner altogether. Wants that position back. Don't think he's going to get it, though. He will have to be in 5th place at the start of this on the edge of this restart, sorry. I think JP was honestly just trying to give himself some room and trying not to go into the back of the Red Bull. And unfortunately, for Hash, that just kind of ended up as a poor result there. As we have a bot in the chat there. I don't know if there are any moderators about. As what? Matt Tudor. That's a lot of mistakes in... Oh, no! Hang on! I thought he was stuck there. He was stuck in neutral. It just sounds like Matt Tudor just spun. I don't know what to say. I didn't really get enough of that accident to see what had happened. So Matt Tudor might hold up proceedings for yet another lap. Already. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Safety, Virtual Race Control have said, we're going racing, Matt. You better be ready to catch up with us. So I Have No Grip is going to take over proceedings as it's up to him on the restart. Once the yellow dot has made its way into the pit lane, it is up to the Alpine driver when we go racing next. So I Have No Grip. Take it away. Oh, there was contact there on the restart. It did look like we were under go, but no, the Hash left it. Sorry, I Have No Grip left it a little bit late there. I think it sounded like he got on the throttle twice. Dembliss is going to try and have a go into the first variante. Here we go, side by side for the lead of the race. There's contact between the two, but the Dembliss will have the outside, and he's done it. What a move, and there's a Red Bull there off into, and that is Hash. And what is that rejoin from Hash? I'm sorry to be so passionate about that, but that was a rejoin and a half, I'll tell you that for free. And now the top 3 are very much nose to tail as Harry makes a move on traps there for 5th place. already this has kicked off yet again like it did on lap 1. And, well, that's not going to be good news if you're a steward or an admin. This is not what you want to see, as Sherry Rudberg now has got work to do, and he is being left behind there by this Alpine, as I Have No Grip has just gone back through on the Kick Sauber. Let's keep an eye on this, because the Kick Sauber might come back through Ascari, but no, thinks better of it. But there's more battling happening at the back of this field, and it's Deckers has also swapped with Chocky. Going through Ascari, as well as there's the Red Bull of Hash trying to keep 11th place and make his way back through and get positions. Remember, he started in 4th place coming into the evening, and now there's Red Dog trying to go around the outside of Parabolica on the Ferrari, but that is not going to work, so surely Deckers will have the run as DRS is re-enabled after the safety car, and JP doesn't need it. He's already alongside, but it looks like we won't have it until the next DRS zone, so that is going to be on the straight into Ascari there. A bit of debris going flying there as Meldrum and Deckers going side by side, and Meldrum is wide on the exit of the Variante, and he is going to lose out to a lot of ground, so that means Hash will surely be next to come through, as Hash there trying to get onto the back of that battle, which he was so involved with. Remember, started in 4th place and is all the way back out of the top 10. And, well, a lot's happened as Meldrum completely skips the second Variante there, just on the left-hand side, rejoins, and he surely has to let the Red Bull through, or is he going to fight it? He doesn't. He backs off and just allows him through, just so that he doesn't get any more complications with penalties. But in terms of DRS, advantage Ferrari. The detection zone was just in the middle of the Lesmos, and there you go, Meldrum back through. But Denbliss will be one to keep an eye out as he goes wide through Ascari, trying to probably avoid the Alpine in front. The Alpine probably parking it on the apex just so that no run came from the Kick Sauber behind him. Now, I just want to kind of give a shout out here, but, well, I'll get back to that in just a second, because we're going to see it's Deckers down the inside of not one, but 2 vehicles, and he's got through both Red Dog and Mr. Traps to get into 6th place. But remember, a 3-second post-race penalty is going his way. Now, who has DRS? It's the 2 behind, because the detection point is on the exit of Parabolica, as Denbliss takes the lead in the Grand Prix, and is your new different leader, JP, pushing the Alpine through the corner. And now there's more swaps happening left, right, and centre. Red Dog getting the first Variante all wrong, as Sherry Rudberg under DRS overtakes the McLaren of Matt Tudor, and he is now up into 12th place. But a lot of battles up and down the field taking our attention. It's hard to know where to look at any one time. The Aston Martin of Traps trying to go down the inside of Red Dog, but it was really only a thought rather than an action. And at the moment now, through the second Lesmos, there's just a lot of close battle in here. Let's have a look at how Chocky is doing here. He is 3/10 away from its Deckers. As on a roll to Williams, it spins out of the second Lesmo. Front wing destroyed, VSC deployed. Everybody just hold on your battles for just a moment, because we are going to need to clear up that debris on the track. And with VSC deployed now, everybody must follow a delta that must be followed by virtual race control for the drivers to communicate. Sorry, for virtual race control to communicate with the drivers. And then, obviously, once that VSC is removed, we will then be underway conditions again, and no need to wait for DRS either, because that will be activated once the VSC is ended. I'm actually surprised that nobody has taken any pit stops at the moment, but maybe this would be a good excuse for Chocky to take one. No, despite that damaged front wing of his, he is going to continue on. Sherry Rudberg, though, in for his 2nd stop of the evening already, and that's just hard tyres. Let's just have a look if there's any damage on the Alpine there. We're still not underway just yet. There is. A front wing end plate has completely come off, and it's a fresh set of mediums for the Alpine, which means his tyre advantage has been completely decimated. And for Rendog, as DRS is now re-enabled, and yeah, Rendog is held in the pits for a similar reason, as now JP is quick off the getaway, but I Have No Grip has lagged behind slightly, and Harry as well, right up close to the Williams of Dan Lovett, but they should all have DRS apart from the Alpine going from the exit of the Lesmo down the straight, separating the drivers from Ascari. As I Have No Grip actually is surprisingly able to actually gain a bit from to Dan Bliss. So that gap has come back down to under a second. So once we get to the start-finish straight, I Have No Grip should be within DRS yet again. So great driving there from the Alpine after that torrid restart under VSC. Dan Lovett as well has been left behind. So this should leave Harry with a chance as it's Deckers gets through as well up into 6th place here. We're all over the place here in Monza, and it's providing a great race. We've already had 10 laps out of 53, 1 VSC, 1 safety car, as now Harry gets through on Dan Lovett. Should be a slam dunk move for the Racing Bulls driver, and there he is, down the inside into the first Variante, and he has got through a-okay. Mr. Trap's coming back on its Deckers though, and yes, oh no, more contact! Hatch there having a nightmare of an Italian Grand Prix, but he was trying to go down the inside, maybe where it wasn't warranted, to be honest, on that second part of the first Variante. We know what happened in 2021 between the two championship rivals, and it didn't end well as the Ferrari has another moment, and that might allow Deckers through into 7th place. Can he get it done into the Lesbo? Surely not. Caution in sector 2 for a Red Bull. It's Hash again having another moment, and he is going to probably call time on this Grand Prix. He is not having the best time of his life as Dan Lovett and Harry go to do battle again. And is he seriously trying to go back around the outside on Ascari? Yeah, no, you don't really want to do that, or else that could end in tears for both of you. But otherwise, we continue racing, and it has been a great occasion so far. The top 3 in a battle of their own, but all the swapping of positions is coming from the battles nearer the back. Even Dan Lovett found another way back through to Harry. So great stuff from Dan Lovett and his driving, but they are holding each other up as they're actually about to swap positions again. Down the start-finish straight they go. Harry gets that move done. Slam dunk in all reality. But Dan will be sure to fight back through the next DRS zone, which we all know where that is by now. Traps goes through on Meljum as Meljum has a massive tank slapper through the first Variante there. Turn 1 not proving favourable with a few of the drivers, Meljum being one of them. I just wonder if there's damage to the rear end of that car, and that's why it's just not gripping up, or maybe the brake bias is just set a bit heavy on the rear maybe. But that could be a multitude of reasons there, as Meljum is now looking like he's got that all sorted out, just going into the next corner, and he is all good to go for another lap here. Already a lap 11 out of 53, so we've nearly had a 5th of this Grand Prix complete. And we are now looking, well, we're going to be at halfway point in a matter of moments. There's all sorts of action up and down the field. Harry and Dan still having a go with one another. Meljum gets back through on Mr. Traps there, so a lot of swapping at this current moment in time. Hash there has also just made a move on Elthanile, and that is 11th place. Elthanile failed to actually finish this Grand Prix last week. I'm just looking for him on my little timing sheet here, but it doesn't look like he... I wish I could see where it was. I'll kind of have a look into that. Maybe he's under a different name on the sheet there, which I just haven't seen. But otherwise, let's have a look here as Harry and Dan are going side by side into the first Variante, and there's a missing end plate from Harry's car there. That's not going to be optimal for aerodynamic performance. Deckers and Meljum are swapping places again. That's getting rather scrappy there at the back. They're just going to have to be a bit careful and try not to lose too much time to any battles that could potentially unfold in front of them. But Harry here will not be happy with losing aerodynamic performance. You can see how he understeers through that corner there. He's just not able to take the optimum line. And, well, it's now going to be 7 seconds between Dan and JP at the front. They need another safety car to be brought right back into this. And, well, here we go. I Have No Grip is about to have a go on Dan Bliss. Dan Bliss to the inside, but there was more than enough straights for the Alpine to get that move done. And that is all said and done as Elthanile becomes the, I think it's the 4th driver to get a track limits penalty. It indeed is. That's his first of the evening. Second of the evening went to Meljum. As he, oh my goodness me, and you can see why. Clearly struggling with that Ferrari there. Does he make contact with anybody? No. So that is all fair and square in the end, but Meljum gonna defend aggressively, and he's actually gonna fight back on the Aston Martin, who was recharging his battery down that straight. Oh! Deckers and Aston Martin have got a made contact, and Chucky might have lost a bunch of his front wing. Look at that left-hand side. It is decimated. Oh, my goodness me. That was something else. And what is contact between yeah, that is going to be dramatic as, oh my goodness me, the Aston Martin and the Ferrari mixing it up. There's contact on the exit. It's 3 wide. Let's go on board with the Aston Martin and the Ferrari. It's left behind by the two Aston Martin, and the Mercedes. And now the Aston Martin's going to try and fight back. Mercedes to the inside, but no, dummied. And now the Aston Martin to the inside through the second barrier. More contact. The Mercedes is off the road. Oh my goodness me, it is high up here in Monza. It is kicking off. Everybody is not treating everybody with respect. The gloves have come off. And what is going on here in Italy? We are having a great Grand Prix in one aspect, but for the stewards and the admins, a huge headache coming their way. Potentially lots of reports. And now it's Dickerson. Well, there's more fighting. Oh my goodness me! Touching through Ascari. That is one hell of a bold move there. It is risky, and that could have ended both their races. But now it's going to be, oh, he's seriously going 3 wide into Parabolica. No one gives up. The Aston Martin's in front for now. And here we go again. Meldrum to the inside. Gets through, but for how long? Who had DRS at the point? The Aston Martin had DRS. Did the Ferrari have DRS? I think just about everybody did. No, the Ferrari didn't have DRS. Sorry, that rear wing never opened. And this is getting real scrappy between all the drivers. This is dramatic stuff. Oh my goodness me, I'm just seeing what the lead is at the moment. That's now become a 2-car battle because JP has been left behind. 1.6 seconds and Meldrum given no room at all. More contact. This is getting really scary between the two drivers. More contact as we go into the next corner. And I just need to take a quick breath there. But my word, this is breathless action here at Monza. And this is proving to be a memorable Grand Prix for better or for worse. I don't think many people will care. If you're neutral, you're probably really enjoying this, as Den Bliss has now got over a second. We'll see if that gap comes down. But here we go, 3 cars with DRS, and nobody making a move. The McLaren of Matt Tudor, very optimistic there on the entry to Ascari. That's never really going to work. And, well, he needs to bring down that gap again. But then again, these 3 drivers might do that all by themselves because they do not mind fighting with one another tooth and nail, a bit too literally sometimes, you would have to say, as now we go down the first DRS straight again onto lap 15 out of 53 for this group. And there we go, the Aston Martin gets that done rather smoothly. But what about Meldrum? He's going to have to go to the inside to get that move done, squeezing the Mercedes, and they all break fair and square. Meldrum has a bit of a moment with his rear end going into the corner, but otherwise it's all fair and square for now. Remember, Meldrum didn't finish the last race. He had a DNF, and he is now scrapping with the top 10, but he's got 9 seconds post-race due to track limit violations, and he is scrapping like he's fighting. Oh my goodness me! Has there been contact somewhere we haven't seen? And there it is. There is Elton Isle in the gravel, Rendog as well. They've been caught in a tangle. We didn't catch that, but there is Elton Isle without a front wing. What happened here as there's more contact between the Mercedes and the Williams? So something happened here that we didn't catch. Apologies for that. We were so busy looking at that battle for 6th place, as now the Mercedes, obviously at that aerodynamic disadvantage, is going to have to concede the places, but I think that might be the last we see of Elton Isle. And that is going to be a rather sad state of affairs. That will be a second DNF in a row. And JP going for the undercut. He's in the pits now. He's coming off 15-lap medium tyres. And obviously, these 3 will benefit from that, but are only up to a certain point. Because remember, all of them have post-race penalties apart from Mr. Traps there. So just keeping it clean and consistent. But these 3 are going to do battle again. Let's go for what feels like part 16. And out of the 53 chapters we will have in this Grand Prix, the Aston Martin goes back through. That is 5th place as of right now. But, of course, pit stops need to be considered before anything at all. So Mr. Traps, luckily, a bit cleaner this time between the 3 drivers, this time of asking. But JP now, one to look out for. He's got Matt Tudor as a first contender to worry about, so he's hoping he can just get that doorstop out the way as soon as possible. Elton Isle, 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. I think that might honestly be the end of Elton Isle's race. as Harry has had a disconnect there. Oh, goodness me. But oh my goodness me, there's more fighting between these three. We'll cover that in just a second. But Harry has had a disconnect. NRRL has actually stayed in the session. As Trap says, someone rammed into me. You're going to have to be a little more specific than that, my guy. I'm afraid there's been a lot of that going around. So, can't help you there, Traps. But either way, that's a message just communicated in the Discord as JP goes through up into 8th place in perhaps, well, one of the more gracious fashions we have seen in this race. As it looks Harry there. I don't know why, getting a bit there. Traps, you got your wish. Oh, I see the Wi-Fi's gone for Harry. And, well, here we go. There you go. We're seeing a bunch of drivers into the pits. Well, I say that, but it's just Deckers coming into the pits after 13, 14 laps on those medium tyres. And JP still wants to look out for. But JP, I don't know if he fully realises what's quite big going on ahead and how much of a challenge he's got to get through the two in front, which haven't been afraid to scrap with one another, and they might not care if there's somebody on fresher tyres behind him. JP needs to exercise some caution here, and we'll see what he does. But he's 2 seconds away, so he might be able to get past them without even looking at them. They might just fall into the pits there as Harry and Traps obviously swap positions with Harry's Wi-Fi going to Rapture. And JP is now going to make another position from that as well. Despite the Racing Bull's DRS opening, of course, there'll be no benefit from... Oh my goodness me! What happened in front? Contact! And that is Belgium into the air! Spinning like a ballerina. And that is safety car number 2 deployed. Contact between Mr. Traps and the Ferrari. And the Ferrari was upside down. Oh my goodness. Traps there just says... a word I cannot repeat on there, and as he was apparently, according to Traps, was just attempted to be rammed there. We saw the middle of that. We don't know quite what instigated it, but either way, that is more of a headache, and for Meldrum, that will be his 2nd retirement in a row in the Friday division. And that, wow, Meldrum not happy with the driving of Meldrum there, as he was actually, so Meldrum taking issue with Decker's driving there, as Dan Lovett there is just waiting to see what's going on. He will have to pass the safety car. Yep, there we go, as he will go through there. So of course the leader needs to catch up, but I have no grip. JP and Deb Bliss have got no idea what's been happening around them, well, behind them I should say, beg your pardon. And they've been blissfully unaware. So if you think, who smacked my AI, says Harry as well. A lot happening in the Discord. A lot happening on the track as well. It is chaos here. We are nearly at 2/5 of this Grand Prix. And there's been a lot of talking points in terms of driving standards. I'm going to be honest here. A lot of drivers being forced off. A lot of destruction derby happening as well. And despite JP trying for the undercut, it's going to prove unsuccessful. Safety car number 2 brought out by Meldrum after contact. With the Williams there. Sorry, with the Aston Martin, beg your pardon. Lots and lots of talking points here. Yeah, as Trap's also saying Stuart's going to have a field day. Yeah, no, somebody coming into the chat there saying sort it out afterwards, and I think that is honestly the best piece of advice. But a lot of talking in the Discord, not a lot of doing on the track, obviously, as Meldrum has now retired. Thanks to a dramatic crash going flying into the air, and he has had to say goodbye and actually ended up upside down. And that is, well, that wasn't how his Grand Prix would have wanted to have ended. He would have liked to have ended that on the right way up, I would imagine, and at the end of the race. And yeah, no, just a lot of words being exchanged, and admin's kind of come in and told them to calm down. And we'll soon see how that goes. But either way, we're going to move on to lap 20 out of 53 under safety car conditions. The leaders have caught up, so nobody needs to follow a delta once they've passed the safety car line at the start-finish straight. And then we'll be underway for another race. But Mr. Traps will be thinking, hang on, how have I got involved in all of this? I am now in 6th place on genuine pace alone. Everybody behind is theoretically faster than. I don't know if he's going to be able to go any higher than 6th, but he can certainly have a go at Chucky, have a go at Dan Lovett, but Dan Lovett will be happy about this as well, as I think will Den Bliss and I Have No Grip. They did not suffer the undercut, but you could theoretically, if you're on the hards, you could make a case to go to the end of the race here. We're going to have a few laps under safety car anyway. There might be a case here. If you can make these hards last, you can get to the end on them. And so anybody on hards might be just in, well, fresh hards, I would have to say, are probably going to be really, really giddy about this. But of course, there's still 15 seconds between 3rd and 4th, as Harry has finally joined back in. He is down in 8th place. So that's not the worst gap in the world to recover from, and has a 3-second penalty. Drive through for Matt Tudor, I think, for speeding under safety car conditions before reaching the safety car line. So he's gone beyond the delta. He needs to serve that within a minimum of 3 laps at the safety car restart. You can't serve a drive-through under safety car conditions. And, well... So, the first thing to report here is scrappy driving. It's not reminding me quite of the Montreal race from last season. But the driving standards, again, called into question. And, yeah, no, that is certainly something interesting here. Lap 20 out of 53. And, yeah, no, I certainly remember from those few weeks ago, Dan Lovett, despite taking the Drivers' Championship at the penultimate round in Montreal, he was more embarrassed by the driving standards. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this is of any comparison at all. I'm saying it is becoming a constant talking point. And of course, I do trust in the stewards, the admins, to all sort that out. And I have full trust in their leadership that they will actually clamp down on this. I know Dan has put in a lot of hours and a lot of work to get this league together, and as has the people around him. He's got a very, very good team around him that have experience in the admin position. So that's just full credit to the team that Dan has gathered. But a lot of work to do coming out of this Grand Prix. I do believe we'll be racing at lap 22 out of 53. So we're going to have one more lap under safety car conditions. But everybody has now just about caught up. We're really only racing on Elthanile. And we will certainly be racing again. Sometimes the Virtual Safe Race Control do not wait for the car up behind to catch up. But otherwise, everybody on hard tyres. So, for example, you're looking at now, I Have No Grip can probably go to the end here. He doesn't want to get involved in too many scraps, so he might just keep an arm's length to JP and Den Bliss. Might even be a case here to allow JP through and try and go fighting, because Den Bliss can't get to the end on those mediums as far as I can tell. He's going to have to stop again. And if we just look at how many times people have stopped, you know, you're only seeing 1. You've got the occasional 2 stop there from Deckers and Chocky. And then you've got the 3 stops from Rudberg. Of course, Rudberg has had a lot of damage. So this safety car is really his redemption here. If he is to get through the field now and try and bring some sort of charge to the championship. Of course, last week finishing in, 5th place here. Has got 6 positions to make up. Now, a lot of that will come from the post-race penalties if the gap is able to stay close to one another. But at the same time, the gaps being close to one another hasn't always been the best thing. So we'll see what happens. But either way, we're not too far away from the restart. All 13 cars that have now caught up. Meldrum was, of course, the victim that brought out safety car number 2. But Dinosaur, after only 2 or 3 laps of racing, brought out safety car number 1 after a mistake on the exit of Parabolica. And now, Den Bliss should be given the call to get the pack under control. So the safety car will peel away, and it will be up to Den Bliss when we go underway. Once the safety car is in the pit lane. Den Bliss, it's over to you. Then Bliss waits until the start-finish line. I have no grip has become vulnerable to JP, but that might not necessarily be the worst thing in the world. Harry has already made a move on Matt Tudor for 7th place. Deckers also benefits from that, so a bit of a slow restart from the McLaren at the back there. Everybody coming into turn 1. Are we all safe and sound? No, we are not, because Traps has made a mistake there. He's back underway, but a red plate missing on his right-hand side as Harry gets a 10-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags, and I think he must have made the move on Mr. Traps, and the game felt that was unfair, but Mr. Traps is going to still go on the attack to Harry, and he is down the inside, and Mr. Traps tries to get that move done, but it doesn't quite work out for the Aston Martin. Harry with the inside at the second part of the... Oh my goodness! 3 cars into 1 barrier! VSC deployed on the restart, and well, that was 3 cars. That was... I have nothing else to say. That was 3 cars into the barrier at the exit of the first Variante. VSC deployed in a matter of moments. Trapped as Den Bliss has disconnected. Den Bliss, as Traps apologizes to Dan Lovett and Harry, so he always feels as well. Den Bliss has gone down. Den Bliss is not in control. Den Bliss is disconnected. This could be bad news. VSC is still deployed, but he's been given a 3-second plan. As, Harry's saying that the game didn't even tell him illegal overtake. DRS is now unable, but Den Bliss has a 2-second buffer. The AI just kind of let him get away, and now JP has got 1.5 seconds to catch up, make that 1.3, but the AI is going to be very slow in comparison to Den Bliss's actual pace. Den Bliss with a desync, and I don't know if I can actually help him or not. I'm not going to cut away from all of this because, frankly, this is electrifying stuff here as the 3 involved in contact go into the pits. No retirements, to my surprise, as now Den Bliss is losing the lead of this Grand Prix, and I have no grip. We'll go through as well on that. But JP, your new leader of this Grand Prix, Dan Lovett into the podium positions. But for how long is another matter. Harry now also benefits from that, but a 10-second penalty in his next pit stop, and he will need another pit stop in order to get anything from this. So we'll see what happens, but somebody needing to send Den Bliss an invite. I don't know if I've even got Den Bliss added, to be honest with you. I would just cut away for a brief few moments just to see if I could, but I don't think I do. So apologies to Den Bliss there, but that is, I think, going to be his race result in tatters now. And that is just rather bad luck for the Kick Sauber. As there was a brief something there, as Traps obviously benefits from all of this. So let's have a look, as I have no grip sets the fastest lap of the race. DRS for the Alpine, known for the Aston Martin for obvious reasons there, and Deckers and Mr. Traps here. Oh my goodness me, Red Dog there making it 3 wide, and how on earth have we all pointed in the right direction when we've ever seen that? It's usually ended quite badly, and now the Aston Martin going very deep through the exit is going to go side by side with the Mercedes on the exit. There's the Williams giving them both a tow, but that primarily goes to the Mercedes, and that's the move done. Deckers now is going to try and have a go down the inside into the second Variante. 30 laps to go, by the way. So we've had over 2/5 of this Grand Prix, and that is Deckers up into 6th place. But remember, a post-race penalty coming the way of Deckers. A 3-second time penalty for track limit violations as Sherry Rudberg gets past Matt Tudor. As Matt Tudor into the pits again for what will be should be his 3rd stop there, in my opinion. But then again, I could be wrong. I have certainly been wrong in the past. As now Rendog are on... this battle between these 3 is going to continue. And imagine if Chucky, Harry, and Dan... Well, Harry can serve his penalty in his next pit stop, so he doesn't actually have to worry too much. But imagine if Chucky and Dan Lovett didn't have their respective penalties. They could be on for something special. And actually, I do have to include Harry in that. So that technically is a battle for 3rd place now. And I think Dan Lovett might have the best of the rest if he can check out from that group behind, as he has DRS. And Dan Bliss still not back with us. He is still losing time. As Harry now down the inside of Chucky up into 4th place. For him and the Racing Bulls, now he's going to make a chase for that final podium position. Unless if I have no grip or... JP get a 3-second penalty, but their driving has been, I have no grip, has made a real improvement from last week. Remember, qualified pole position and then could not find it. He finished in 11th place, but Dan Lovett through the first Lesmo down the inside on those medium tyres. They will be the better tyre at this part of the stint, but if Grip can just hold on for a bit longer, but he's off the track there, that will probably incur a warning, and they both lose time, and it is important that they both stay within a second, and maybe I Have No Grip can just try and use a slingshot effect on Dan Lovett as they approach the straight potentially, and that might be Dan Lovett needing to let the Alpine through. It's already 1.2 seconds, so this is important, and well, I Have No Grip has got to wait because that DRS is on the exit of Parabolica, not before. You go through the corner here, and now there is that line. You might not be able to see it there. It's just under that P0 billboard, and here we go. Can Grip find half a second here? Well, 0.8 of a second in reality for where he is as Dan Lovett defends, and well, he doesn't allow the Alpine through, and that allows Harry to have a go into third. Goes the Racing Bulls driver, and of course, remember, a couple of penalties going his way. Dan Bliss, I don't think, is still back with us, and that is rather sad. I want to try and have a look to see if I've got him added, but I don't think I do. But Dan Bliss's race has just fallen down, and we are now at the halfway point of the Grand Prix, and Harry there gets that all wrong, and I Have No Grip is going to come right back at him down the inside of the first Lesmo, and that move is all said and done for the time being. But I Have No Grip's going to actually lose the DRS advantage. That's going to go to the Racing Bulls, as remember, the DRS detection point is between the first and second Lesmo. That is going to just spell bad news here, because that might mean the Alpine is a little vulnerable, but he holds third for now, and he will continue on, still needing another second there as Rendo gets a 3-second penalty for track limit violations. He goes very wide in the background there through the exit of Ascari. And you know what? I think I Have No Grip has just successfully gone on the charge through those two cars, well, through Harry anyway, and has got DRS back. So here we go. He'll have DRS down the start-finish straight. And he's actually getting closer and closer, so here we go. This might be the move I Have No Grip needs to get back in contention for the win, but holds back for now. He's going to wait and be patient as Rendog and Deckers go fighting down the start-finish straight themselves. And, well, that is Deckers through on the Williams driver. And at the moment, I think Dan Bliss is trying to get sorted for an invite here. He might already be back with us. Let's just have a quick check. No, he is not. He is still 10th place. But here's I Have No Grip. There's a caution in sector 1 for Williams. Is that Elton Isle? It indeed is, who's got it wrong through the first variante. Let's just take a quick look back. There's no intervention from race control, but rather unfortunate state of affairs as of right now for the Kickstarter driver, who of course started tonight in second place, and well, he isn't going to be finishing there as things stand right now. We're beyond halfway now. We're on lap 27. We'll start lap 28 in a few moments' time. But Dan Lovett trying to hold off I Have No Grip, but Grip wants to be with JP there, who is on to take his second win in a row here, and he's looking to increase his lead in the championship. And he's going to try and take that up to 50 points here on his total. And I Have No Grip just trying to get his foot in the door in all reality. Down the start-finish straight we go. Can the Alpine get that advantage? He does. Can he get the slingshot effect? He does, and he's through into second place for now. But does Dan decide to fight this back? He's actually remained around the outside there, and that could have been risky, depending on how that turned out. But that is now him through, and Harry says, thank you very much. I'm going to try and take advantage of that, and through Curva Grande, these two drivers go side by side. It is Harry on the outside, which will become the inside in just a few moments, and Dan will be on the worst line to try and defend this. Harry stays there through into the second variante, but has to give that up as he tries the over-under on the exit. Can he get that done? It'll be the inside for the second Lesmo. Contact between the two. Doesn't matter. Harry is now through, and Chucky is now right there, but Dan Lovett tries to fight back through the second Lesmo. How on earth have they stayed pointing in the right direction? Now Dan will have the DRS on the exit, so maybe just trying to give the RB a bit of a bad exit, as now here we go. Will Dan Lovett make his way back through to the inside? JP, oh no! Oh no! Contact between the two, and somehow Harry keeps that pointing in the right direction, but I Have No Grip is handed the win of this race, as at 1.8 seconds he is within his 3-second window, and Dan Lovett makes contact with yet another car. Remember, he made contact with the Mercedes of Deckers at the start, And here we go again. More drama unfolding here in Monza. We're beyond halfway. We're on lap, well, 29 out of 53 for this group, that is, as Harry gets back through into third place, but he wouldn't have appreciated that little tap he got from Dan at the end of the straight going into Ascari. That's one of the worst places you can have that happen on the track. You approach it at such a high speed, and by the way, in all of that, Mr. Traps is now in the pit lane, hoping to undercut a few drivers to try and get himself a good result here. As Hash and Den Bliss, of course, swap, but Den Bliss still not back with us. And I think he has gone and given up for the evening, so he will not score any points as he's no longer in control of the car. Heartbreak for Den Bliss. And Traps on the wrong tyres. Let's just have a look. It is a fresh set of mediums. They're not really going to go to the end, are they? Traps unhappy there, typing in all capital letters. Wrong tyres. I am missing out a word there just to be broadcast friendly. And here we go. And this is Dan to the outside of Harry. I have no grip is way too far down the road. But the Red Bull gives the Williams a tap here. And all of a sudden we have a 5-car battle for third place. Everybody sharing post-race penalties. And at the moment now, Deckers and Chucky are going side by side. Can Deckers get that done? He does indeed. Doesn't need Parabolica. And now this is going to get rather intense. As Den Bliss still asking for an invite, but we're not really finding a good moment. As now Harry back down the inside there, and here we go again. Red Dog now through on Chucky, and Chucky did have DRS, but has one of the older tyres there in the group. But Hash behind has the fresher tyres by 27 seconds. Goodness me. And at the moment here, we are looking at this battle for what is the final spot on the podium. Now these drivers will have to stop again, so Hash might be able to benefit from an undercut, but reality needs a safety car just to be safe. And Dan Lovett there tried to put the Racing Bulls off there going into the second variante, but that was not going to work on him. He's a bit of an experienced driver and is a champion for this reason. As now Dan will go back down the inside of the second Lesmo, and again he's able to pull that off. But does he have the exit? He will have the DRS, but who has the straight line speed? Should be the Williams in all reality, and I think it is, but it's not very. It's very close as Red Dog now is going down the inside through Ascari, and well, of course, Harry already had a scare with one Williams. He doesn't want another, and we all point in the right direction for the time being. But we're already 3/5 into this Grand Prix. The time has flown by, as now Sherry Rudberg will benefit from Den Bliss. He's down to 10th now, and this result, which looked oh so good for the Kick Sauber, is now going away. It's slipping away lap by lap, and we start lap 31 out of 53 as Harry and Dan Lovett go side by side again, but that's under DRS, so that is of course an inevitable swap. But the leaders have also caught up with one another as Chucky and Deckers going side by side into the first variante. Dan giving the Racing Bulls a bit of a push, and there's more afters between the Mercedes and the Red Bull. Let's go on board. It looks like the Mercedes was faster initially, but the straight line speed going to Chucky. And so that's all going to sort itself out. But look at this. The battle for the lead. JP's 3-second post-race penalty might not be of any bother to I Have No Grip, because he wants this done on track. And as a racing driver, I can confirm that is the thing you want. He's going to have DRS up to Ascari as they pass under the old layout of Monza there. That oval, of course, iconic with the history of Formula 1. And of course, just in case you weren't here for the beginning, do check out the 1966 film Grand Prix, which has some of the best motor racing scenes in all of film. But anyway, enough glazing that movie. That is Chucky through into 5th place, and that is another overtake successfully done for the Red Bull. At the moment, his teammate not being brought into the occasion, but with 25 seconds, that's going to be a rather optimistic hold to try and find 5 cars there as Rendog and Deckers go side by side through Parabolica. And he is up into 6th place in that Williams. I Have No Grip as well, trying to get close to JP, but I do think they're just holding station. But we need to go back to this battle rather quickly. I'll just get rid of that tyre graphic for you, just so you can have a full view of what's going on. But at the moment, nobody really shifting around. Just to give you an idea, Chucky is currently where he qualified. Harry is going to be the biggest loser in all of this because he's got 16 seconds in penalties so far. But if there is another pit stop coming his way, he will lose the time in the pit stop, of course, but that will prove detrimental. Remember, it's not called the Temple of Speed for nothing. It's one of the highest average speeds here on the Formula 1 circuit. On the Formula 1 calendar, beg your pardon. Well, another DRS zone for this leading battle here. I'm just going to keep an eye on the gaps here. Deckers and Red Dog very close to one another. 0.4 of a second. That is currently bubbling around that gap. As now, Dan Lovett looks to be close to the gap in front here. But there's Chucky also trying to defend from the Williams behind him. Red Dog trying the outside there. Very wide there. The Mercedes says, thank you very much. And he is through. Going through Ascari. And he's going to be very thankful for that as Rendog now. He's going to have to come back the old-fashioned way. And Deckers, well, having a 6-second penalty, Rendog wants to be involved in that battle. I can promise you that for free. And, well, there you go. A final message from them, Bliss. Wasted my whole afternoon practicing for the game to give me a decent. And, of course, our best wishes there as Love It now into the pits to try and undercut the cars in front. So they will have to react to this, I would imagine. And it should be hard tyres for Dan to go to the end of this Grand Prix. Does it come out ahead of Hash? It's going to be tight. He needs to be ahead of the Alpine of Rudberg in reality. The Red Bull down the start-finish straight now will overtake Dan. So the undercut there works effectively for the Red Bull. But, of course, can he go to the end comfortably on those tyres is another question entirely. And now Dalovic goes through the first Variante, and he's just going to probably just take it easy for the time being. No grip again, coming through to Ascari behind JP, and that's probably going to be a familiar sight for the next few laps. Grip just really needs to keep it all safe and secure. I don't think these two are going to be comfortable to the end on tyres, considering how the tyre wear goes, as Harry gets another penalty for track limit violations, and I imagine some drivers will have to start coming in. So it's 19 seconds added on to Harry's time, and we already know their tyres can't go to the end, so Harry will serve those 10 seconds in the pit lane. But does Grip decide to have a go on JP down the start-finish straight? Has he been waiting for the broadcast cameras to focus on him? He wasn't close enough into turn one, as now Harry indeed does come into the pits there. We'll keep an eye on the tyre delta to see which tyre he goes on to, as his race is unfortunately finished for now, as that 10-second penalty will probably prove to be the sword in Harry's race. So unfortunate for him, but he's put on a good drive. Just needs to watch it between the track limits, as Den Bliss blames a stupid desync there. Hello, welcome on into the chat. Obviously, you're not going to be in the best of moods, and that is just unfortunate. I know how that feels when you're putting an entire afternoon of practice and it just goes to waste in a matter of a moment. But here we go for the leading battle. Doesn't matter if JP has that post-race penalty coming his way. Grip wants this done on track, and he's gonna get it done. He goes down the inside into the lead, but for how long? Because remember, the next DRS zone is just after Parabolica. Let's see if he can keep it there. The rear ring will now open for JP, and the detection point is on the exit of Parabolica. So maybe if Grip plays some DRS chicken, he can allow JP through, but it looks like he just wants to hold position for the time being. And here we go now. The battle for the lead will now continue on. Does JP decide to go through? DRS opening for the Aston Martin as we go on board with JP here, your regular commentator in NRRL, and they're going to go side by side into turn one. Oh my goodness me, but JP gets the move done, and I don't think Grip fights that too hard. He knows what the situation is, and he just wants to be race smart about it. He knows the win is in his hands, as now we see Deckers go through into third place. But of course, pit stops needing to come. And look at that, Dan Lovett already getting onto the back of Hash there. And you can see what the fresher tyres will do. So that will confirm that there's no advantages. Oh my goodness me, we have a safety VSC. VSC for one reason or another. Let's see if we can catch who that was. It wasn't Matt Tudor, I don't think. Don't think it's Elthanile. But we have slowed down for what appears to be no reason whatsoever. Rudberg will come into the pits for his final stop. He surely is coming on to medium hard tyres to go to the end. That's actually a fair call there. That would be comfortable at the very least. But JP and I have no grip surely have to take advantage of this. And I don't know why. we've got the VSC. I didn't see anything particularly egregious, unless if somebody's lost the front part of their front wing somewhere. I'll just have a quick look through the field. Of course, we know it's not the top two. No, it's not him, and we know it's not him. Chucky is missing an end plate, but I've not seen a VSC come out for the end plate before. There you go. That's why we've got it. It's Red Dog. He's got no front wing at all on his Williams car and has lost that somewhere. So I don't know if he lost that just under a mistake of his own doing and he's just pointed the right direction. But there we go. We are back under racing speed. And who is that on the exit? That looks to be Elton Isle there being lapped by the leader, JP. Well, the leader as of right now, because JP, of course, does have a penalty coming his way. Decker's apologising to Chucky there, so I don't know what happened. Yeah, there we go. Love it. And Rendog obviously swapped positions. But I don't know. Decker's apologising to Chucky for one reason or another. And I'm not sure why. And Dembliss just saying, just don't bother anymore. Dembliss really demotivated and is really down the dumps. And can you really blame him? That is just unfortunate. He is obviously going to be upset. 18 laps to go. And Dembliss out of this race. That is rather unfortunate. I have no grip to the inside. As Rendog has retired from the session, he's had enough. So we now have, let's have a look here. It's going to be 12 drivers, I think? No, it will be 11 in reality, because obviously Dembliss not controlling his car now. And here we go, Dembliss into the pits, but obviously this is his AI, so obviously we'll then get a good representation of where things stand. And yeah, that is indeed an 11-car field now, thanks to the fact Dembliss not going to be happy at all. And just so you know, 10-second penalty for Chucky for speeding in the pit lane. And Chucky is also retired from the session. If drivers could realise that they have points on the board here, they do not need to be doing this. Everybody has points here. I understand races go wrong here and there, but it is racing at the end of the day. And, well, Chucky is your next retirement. I don't quite know what happened between himself and Deckers, but Chucky just didn't feel it was worth continuing, and that's the end of one Red Bull, and now the other up into 4th place. But Dan Lovett up into 5th, and well, just to answer Dembliss's question here, that is just put in the Discord. Meldrum's race ended after contact with Traps, and he went flying into the air like a ballerina. Really spun on his heel, or in this case, on his nose, which was, of course, like, of course, a rather dramatic crash. And, well, actually, Meldrum is taking full responsibility for it. He said, my own fault. Tried to overtake and lost the car. Didn't help the whole racing, dealing with people pushing me off track. The words of Meldrum there coming through. But remember, we now only have a 10-car field, so that means we are guaranteed. So just so you know, the breakdown of points in case you have only just joined us and what a Grand Prix you have missed, for better or worse. It is currently, well, the win will get you 25 points, so I Have No Grip has actually got away from JP by quite a number of seconds there. That's 2.4 seconds as we go on to lap 38 out of 53 for these two, as Traps now is having a battle with Harry, but Harry with more penalties in tow. Now he's served his 10 seconds, needs a 6-second buffer on the Aston Martin to make that safe, but I imagine there will be a bit of tooting and throwing before this race has ended. And there you go, Mr. Traps back down the inside of the Racing Bulls and into Lesbo 1. Sorry, not Lesbo 1, into Variante 1. These two go, but it looks like the tyre grip is more with the Racing Bulls, and he comes right back on the Aston Martin, gets the move done. That's actually a very nice overtake from the Racing Bulls driver, but the Aston Martin still trying to come back. Looks like he is saving battery, or he's low on battery anyway, and he's going to try down the inside, and there's no room at the end for the Aston Martin. So Harry now will want to check out. He's got 5-lap pressure tyres on the hard, so different compounds between the two. So really, advantage Racing Bulls there as JP into the pits for his final stop. And he's going to try and undercut the Alpine in front. What does Deckers decide to do? He's staying out. So we need to keep an eye on Hash and Dan Lovett. That is genuinely a fight for position. And Hash could just about go to the end if he's looking after his tyres. He's recharging the ERS as he prepares for the start-finish straight. It will be 15 laps at the line. JP just making his way out of his pit box at the moment, so he doesn't want to be caught by this battle at all. Can he make it as JP gets on the throttle now? But I think he's going to leave it tight. Oh my goodness, this one's 3 wide going down, and this is not what JP wants at all. The Red Bull fights back though, round the outside into the first variant, in contact, and Dan's on the gravel, and JP with no problems at all gets through, and he's back looking at the leaders directly. And that is just kind of a statement of what we've had this evening, as Hash puts Dan onto the gravel. He will not be happy about that, I can tell you that for free. But now he's going to be extra cautious of that going forward, and just needs to reset and try and get himself back into a level head, recompose. But guess who will have DRS on this straight? It's Hash, and he's going to be able to get a bit of a comfort there, as Red Dog has now left the session. Oh goodness me, just so you know, Deckers, Elton Isle, Dan Lovett and Meldrum are still in the still in the VC, by the way, and I would love to know what their conversations are like. And well, and there's Deb Bliss at the front of your frame there. He unfortunately suffered a massive desync, and now Chucky has left the session. He, of course, already retired from the race earlier on after something between him and Deckers happened. So at the moment now, we have on genuine pace alone Deckers in second place, but of course needs to make a mandatory stop. And I'm surprised he didn't try and cover off the Aston Martin at that time of going. But now Hash is still with a DRS, and Dan Lovett's been left behind, look. 3 seconds, and that is what this track does to you. And Hash may still have DRS before long. He's still got just over a second, as now, there we go. He gets... Is he allowed through now from the ghost car? He now is. And Dan Lovett is going to be seething in that cockpit. 10-lap fresher tyres. Didn't do anything to get himself past Hash. And, well, he will not be happy with the Red Bull driver, as he doesn't have DRS now. So Dan Lovett should be able to get onto the back of this battle and try and go to the end. But I have no grip. Has got all the grip in the world this week, as he, remember, didn't even finish in the top 10 last week after qualifying on pole. But it's going to be, well, at the moment, the race in his hands. He has got 30 seconds to JP behind, but maybe needs to think about Deckers. But Deckers finally makes his stop. It won't be enough to cover off the Aston Martin or the Red Bull, but Dan Lovett now needs to try and get onto the back of that car. He has the fresher tyres. It shouldn't be that difficult, but maybe he needs to cool down his tyres as well and then try and charge up the field again. Deckers now out of his pit box, and he's going to be just in front of... no, he's going to be just behind Dan Lovett on the exit there. So he's going to... Obviously, Deb Bliss is going to unlap himself, or at least his AI will. But he is now in front of Harry as we approach Lesmo 1. Medium tyres till the end of this Grand Prix, so Deckers might be giving Dan a run for his money before the end of this, and Dan won't be looking forward to that as he's trying to catch up to third place. Hash there, and from second all the way down to fourth, it is a 3-second penalty. It is an even 3-second penalty with Mr. Traps there also having 3 seconds under his time, but has a lot of work to do. Can he do it though? No, those hard tyres will now be better for Harry rather than Mr. Traps there. So Traps probably has got as high as he will go, as Matt Tudor gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And what have I missed? Well, where do we begin? On lap 2 out of 53, we have our first safety car because Dinosaur crashed it into Parabolica. And then we've had a VSC. I think we've had about 2 VSCs so far. And then we had Meldrum having a flying crash after making contact with, I think it was Deckers, or Trap. No, it was Traps, the Aston Martin, going into Ascari. That brought out safety car number 2. And then we just came off another VSC after Rendog destroyed his front wing. Hard could go 30 plus up. I would stay out if I was in P1. And you know what? That's what I was saying as well. And JP with a post-race 3 seconds penalty. I don't think he's going to make that gap up, but I have no grip is probably going to stay stubborn and stay out on those tyres. At the moment, Dan Lovett still trying to battle for P3, but he is not really gaining any time, and Hash just took him out onto the gravel. But yeah, no, it's been a rather scrappy affair, to say the least. A lot of people being forced onto the gravel, a lot of contact, a lot of spinning, as Elthanile gets another 3-second penalty for track limit violations there. His total's up to 15 seconds. He will lose out to... No, he won't lose out to Matt Tudor, because Matt Tudor has 16 seconds penalties due to recently speeding in the pit lane. Dan Bliss as well is not driving at the moment. He has also been desynced, so he is no longer in this race. So it is a 10-car field. And I was just saying, you know, drivers can continue on. Everybody was guaranteed points tonight. But now, with Dan Bliss also out of the picture, as Elthanile comes into the pit lane to serve his final stop, he's going on to soft tyres. Maybe for fastest lap? No extra points for fastest lap in this league, so he just wants the pride. It's just doing it more as a sense of pride rather than anything. He's going to be lapped by the rest of the field, so that also just gives them a bit of room. And, well, gracious there, if that is the reason for Elthanile coming into the pit lane. Elthanile. Elthanile. Elthanile? Elthanile. Oh, God. Elthanile. Oh, God. I've got that wrong. And I will just be honest here. Quincy did send me a quick message just to say, hey, this is how you pronounce it. And apparently, my brain didn't quite register that correctly and just decided to go with a mispronunciation instead. Whoops! Elthanile. So Elthanile with another 3-second penalty and has just gone into the pits there just to get out of the way and onto soft tyres for fastest lap. But here we go, Deckers and Dan Lovett. Well, Dan Lovett has already been involved in one battle with the car up ahead. Doesn't really want to be involved in another, but Deckers on fresher tyres here. Let's see what the Mercedes can do. Has got a couple of positions up for grabs. Could be on for a podium, but needs a 3-second buffer between Dan and Hash. And there is 10 laps to go at the line for these two. So here we go. The next DRS zone, they are approaching. Dan is not close to Hash there. 2.6 seconds. This could be a great time for Deckers as he takes the fastest lap and also takes 4th place away from Dan. 2.5 seconds will now separate him from Hash going into the first Variante. And that was rather easy stuff from the Mercedes. 2.1 seconds now between the Red Bull and the Mercedes. In fact, on the exit, that goes down to 2 seconds. So this is absolutely fantastic stuff from the Mercedes. This could turn into a rather excellent drive after some moments that he's been caught up with here. As there you go, he's just gone through and done his personal best through Sector 1 again. And Dan has been left behind rather quickly there. Won't even have DRS going into Lesmo 2 here. I love it, using all of the track there, trying his best to stay with the Mercedes, but it's all rather fruitless. He doesn't have the rear wing open, and has to probably going to have to let P3 go at this point, at this current moment of the Grand Prix. 9 laps to go at the line, but Decker's fast approaching the Red Bull in front. What will be 3rd place? You ain't making up 30 seconds in 9 laps, even with fresh tyres. GG's, I have no grip. Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. You never know what could happen as Harry gets another penalty for track limit violations. So that's his total up to 12 seconds. But here we go. Does Grip have the tyres to go to the end? Deckers takes fastest lap of the race again. Elthanile is not been able to actually get fastest lap despite being on fresh, soft tyres. It's not quite gone his way. So Elthanile currently going to the start finish line now. No fastest lap for him. It's gone to Deckers on those medium tyres. That is insane press. Don't curse him, David. Nah, I wouldn't think of doing anything like that. Me? Never. He's got that win. I think he'll be fine. Just needs to look after the tyres though, and that's really his only question. And at 27 seconds, you can comfortably do that, I would say. So he should be all right. But, of course, I think his tyres will be absolutely screaming at the end of this Grand Prix. And here we go. Deckers is about to make his move. But remember, needs 6 seconds on both Hash and Dan Lovett. And, well, needs to get started now as I Have No Grip takes the fastest lap of the race. How old are those? What? As Hash there gets a 3-second penalty for track limit violations. So that means Hash and Deckers are fighting for the same position. But Hash there is on... Oh, no. Caution in Sector 3. Short-lived. So we continue racing as we were, but a bit of a heart-and-mouth moment there. As how How has I Have No Grip gone and set the fastest lap of the race? I don't know how he's done that. On 27 lap old mediums, has he just looked after those spectacularly? As now Decker's through to the inside of Hash, and they both share 6 seconds, so that is for genuine position. And maybe these two could work together to try and get ahead of Dan Lovett, but I imagine those medium tyres will now begin to work in their own way. And in fact, look at that, already 0.8 of a second on the exit. No grip on those old hard tyres for Hash. And well, Dan Lovett is at least brought a few extra tenths there. But is he going to be able to catch this up? It's now at 1.8 seconds the gap as he messes up the second Ascari there. Sorry, second Variante there. And, well, it had a bit of an understeer moment, but still managed to gain a couple of tenths there. So this is good. This is good stuff. This is going to be an exciting battle for what will be for probably more than likely 4th place come the end of this Grand Prix. As, well, Deckers has just left them both behind there. And it's now got 4.8 seconds to JP. So this is becoming PlayStation grip hacks. Goodness me. So no grip with all the PlayStation tricks in the world. That's a good point, though. He is on PlayStation on that graphic, as is Deckers, Hash, and Dan Lovett, along with Harry. But they don't seem to be able to exploit the same advantage as Grip, because, well, Grip doesn't even have any penalties. But now, here's a close battle on track, but, of course, with a terms and conditions. Mr. Traps with 3 seconds penalties to serve post-race, and, well, Sherry Rudberg on the better tyres, as that crossover point between the hards and mediums will have been reached in this battle. Look at that exit he's got, though, as he goes through to Parabolica right on the rear end of the Aston Martin. And now, here we go. DRS opening for the Alpine here, who, of course, was recently promoted after 3 drivers dropped out. And it's going to be to the inside, right along the white line there. Mr. Traps just wanted to squeeze him for all he's worth. And, well, Sherry Rudberg was above and beyond that tactic. He is through into 7th place and has that position on genuine pace alone. And you know what? He's only 8 tenths away from taking 6th place away from Harry, thanks to his post-race penalty of 12 seconds. So if Sherry Rudberg keeps this up, he can get into the top 6, and that would be a nice recovery considering he started in 3rd place from qualifying. But I Have No Grip as well has to take your drive of the day. No track limit penalties, has kept it clean where he's needed to, as we have a moment with the McLaren. And that is short-lived there. I think he was just going slow to allow lap traffic through. Sensible stuff there from Matt Tudor. How many stops did they make? They have made the 1, is I Have No Grip. If you're thinking about somebody else, you will just need to let me know. But yeah, 1 stop for I Have No Grip. And he's taking it to the end of this Grand Prix. 6 laps to go on those hard tyres. They must be screaming at him. And he is hanging on for dear life. And Dan Lovett's battle with Hash is going to restart. Remember, those two came together at the first Variante not too long ago. That sent Dan into the gravel. And now he's getting ready for another battle. Traps into the pits for the final time. He's probably going on to a set of softs as Dan Lovett with... Oh, never mind. A 3-second penalty for Dan Lovett. But wait a minute. That puts him on even keel. So that means he needs to get this move done on track in order to get that 4th position. He could have sat back and just waited for those 3 seconds to kind of come to him. But unfortunately, after that mistake, he now needs to look at getting this move done. He has DRS going up to Ascari, but he hasn't gained all that much. It remains at around 8 tenths of a second on entry, and we'll see where it's at on exit, and that's come down by even more. So the Williams with the better cornering grip for the time being, and approaching Parabolica with only it'll be 4 laps to go eventually. Well, no, 5 laps to go, beg your pardon. As JP has just gone through the line now, because the Alpine of No Grip is approaching the 2nd Variante as we speak there. That's how far down the road Grip has gone. So here we go, 5 laps to go. 2 opportunities for Dan. He's going to make it work at the first one. It's going to be a tight side-by-side battle. They both make contact again. And Hash has gone through. And that is going to be controversial for Dan. And Hash is fighting for all he is worth. at the moment now is forced into another battle. Maybe Hash there. Is he forced to get the place back? Caution in Sector 1 for Matt Tudor. Short-lived, though, so we're going to continue observing this. Hash gets the second variante Wong. And now, the second opportunity since getting into DRS, as Hash there was desperately hanging on through the first Lesmo. And 10 laps difference in tyres. Tudor is struggling. It looks like he's just being lapped, so I think that's nothing to worry about there. But now, with 4 laps to go, as long as I have no grip completes this lap, well, guess what? No further safety cars will be brought out. But at the moment, these two are the closest on track at 0.6 of a second. And, well, there's been 2 pieces of drama between these two. And there might be about to be more. We are going on to part 3 of this engaging chapter, for better or worse. And down the start-finish straight, let's see what Dan Lovett can do. He's saved his battery. The Red Bull is trying to defend. He's given him no slipstream at all. Dan just trying to hang on to his temperature. And here we go, down side by side again. Hash will fight that back through the corner. They're going to go side by side. And Dan is forced off the track. And well, Hash there. Oh my goodness me. And there's Hash going into the back of Dan. Well, Dan tried to let him back through. And now, Dan, what's happened? He's fallen back a little bit. And he's back underway. Oh my goodness me, more drama here in the end of this Grand Prix. It's been calm for so long, and now it's kicked off again. Hash has lost his front wing end plate. Can he hang on to this position? Everything would be saying no. But there's also absolute cinema, says Quincy there in the NRRL chat on Twitch here. And, well, Chucky sending a long message. I will quote that to you when we have a bit of time. But at the moment we are looking at an engaging battle for 4th, but I have no grip. Is hanging on. He has all the grip in the world here in Monza, and he's only got 3 more laps to go. There is an Aston Martin of Mr. Traps in front of him, but that is lap traffic. He has got absolutely nothing to worry about. 24 seconds behind is JP. But at the moment, we need to focus back because this battle for 4th is going to escalate again. But luckily, without any contact, Dan Lovett is through. But is he through for long? Dan Lovett covers off that inside. And that is him up into 4th place. More drama happens there. And that is all said and done. Here we go, though. I will finally just find a time. I mean, I'll be the first to say I make mistakes. This is all from Chucky, by the way. So we have a caution in Sector 1, but of course, no further safety cars will be called out. Well, look at that. Hash is getting dangerously close to the rear end of that Williams. He'll have DRS again, but I'll try to get this message out. But people brake checking under VSC on straight with 1.5 seconds in the green, slamming on the brakes in a corner. As well, there we go. Hash there in the gravel through the first Lesmo. That will bring that battle to an end. So let's have a look at I have no grip onto the penultimate lap here. And hopefully now I can actually read this message for you. People slamming on the brakes in a corner under SC when 3.5 seconds in the green. Then people playing DRS chicken, ruining others' races, driving standards, the worst I've ever seen. And I've been around the block a few times. Not going to name names though, as seems people just give abuse if you do. And sad to see is how that message ends. Yeah. Rather sad, obviously a rather sad message there from Chucky and just a bit of an unhappy expression here. But let's focus on the positive because I have no grip, could not convert pole last week. And well, he had to finish 11th, and this week it seems to have just come together. It has just been right. I have no grip. Just goes against the meaning of his name. And, well, the hard tyres have lasted him right up until this point. And those tyres do look rather good, if I say so myself. Let's see what it... Well, I say let's see what he can do onto the final lap. But he's got nothing to prove to any of us. He is 25 seconds down the road from JP. Deckers is also very close to JP, but Deckers with 3 more seconds in penalties. That battle will not matter unless if there's more drama to come, but I highly doubt it as I have no grip. Will begin his final lap. He has 3.6 miles to go in his bid for the title It wasn't the best start last week, but tonight he got pole for the second week in a row, and now he is now going through Curva Grande and is making this circuit his own. And at the moment, through second variante, no trouble at all. He's taking it oh so cautiously. He's not abusing the curbs at all. He is just being better safe than sorry. By the way, Harry has caught up to Hash, but with 9 seconds difference in penalties, it's not really going to come down to much. And Sherry Rudberg as well is going to benefit from his total because 15 seconds to Sherry's 11. Well. Hasn't Sherry also put in a little bit of a show since going down to the back? Take a bow, young man, says Quincy. He is now going through Ascari. Penaltyless and also contactless and damageless throughout this Grand Prix. And not forgetting, finally converting pole to a win. I have no grip. Welcome back to the top step of the podium. Through Parabolica goes the Alpine, and there is the start-finish line. He wins at the Temple of Speed. I have no grip. What a perfect drive. JP will hold off Deckers for second place once we get to the line, but it wouldn't have mattered if Deckers made the move or not. But Hash has had a moment with Harry potentially as well. There we go. There's a missing end plate. We already knew that from the contact with Dan. But anyway, JP, despite that 3-second penalty, will come home second. And then it will be Deckers in third there. What a podium that is. That is, as Quincy says, a championship drive. Dan Lovett will come home. 6 seconds penalties. But thanks to Harry's 15, he will keep 4th place there and is still looking for his first podium of the season, despite being a championship holder. As Hash there is going very slowly. He's got a puncture on the right. Has he got a puncture? I thought he had a puncture. Sorry about that. Unless if he's just out of fuel. As now Matt Tudor, a lap down, comes home. Elthanel will also come home in 10th place there, but 15-second penalty doesn't matter. Dan Bliss wasn't in, well, had desynced long ago. And in the end, yeah, Matt Tudor is going to finish 9th. Mr. Traps coming home in 8th place there in the Aston Martin. But a huge congratulations to our podium winners. And now 8th place for Mr. Traps. He will now confirm the 10 drivers. Well, technically 11 if you really do want to count Dan Bliss. But, man. As Traps saying, I tried my best there. And you know what? It's still a top 10 drive. That is 8 points going Traps' way. And he did a very good job to get those mediums to the end. A very, very, very good job. Indeed. Well done to him. And, yeah, no, a lot... well, yeah, Hash not happy. Well, Dan not happy with Hash there. As Dan feels he was costed a podium. I don't know, though. I don't know. I don't think he had. I don't think, really, Dan had any chance at a podium. Decker's there with his first podium. Oh, I missed the accolades there. I'm sorry about that. Let's see if I can just catch them here very quick. There we go. So we have race winner as, obviously we know that. Fastest that went to Grip. Decker's driver of the day. Most overtakes was Decker's, and cleanest driver was I Have No Grip. For obvious reasons, he was barely around anybody. But anyway... it is I Have No Grip with the win. Unofficial results, of course, out of Monza. JP second. Third is Deckers. 4th and 5th are Dan Lovett and Sherry Rudberg after all the penalties. Then Harry, Hash, Traps, Matt Tudor, and Elthanel round out your top 10 with 11th, then Bliss, but although was desynced. So your non-finishers are Chucky, Rendog, Meldrum, and Dinosaur. Well, that was certainly something, wasn't it? A race that really needs to talk about driving standards, and there was a lot of talk there again. I've just got a message. I've got a message there. I'm not gonna say that out loud, just for obvious reasons, but I will just say that for free. I'm not gonna say anything, but I've just been given a little bit of a message. An early steward's call has been made here, and there may be a bit of an adjustment. Now, I do believe we will have a post-race interview with the top 3. I just don't know who's going to be talking, though, because you can tell me. Well, I can tell you, but I think there are... Let's have a look at the viewer count, shall we? There are five other people watching, so I'm not going to make everything public, and you don't know who's watching. You never know. You never know. I'll tell you afterwards, though. I'll happily give you a bit of gossip. But anyway, let's see if we can have a chat with our race winner. We already actually have JP in the booth. We're just waiting for everybody else, in all honesty. So let's see. Will we get Deckers, and will we get our race winner? What a drive from I Have No Grip, for obvious reasons. I don't know if somebody can let the chat know, or let the dudes know in Discord. We'll take it from there. Yep, Deckers. I really need Deckers. And also, I Have No Grip. Get I Have No Grip, please. As well, Quincy. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, if Deckers and what's his face, Flipperneck, I Have No Grip can make their way. But Dan Lovett, very, very happy for I Have No Grip as well. But yeah, no, we're just waiting at the moment. But otherwise, I'm afraid it's a lot of the same talk from a few weeks ago. Remember, back in Montreal with that 6-car finish between 16 drivers. A lot of driving standards called into question yet again, and Chucky was not happy at all. We finally have I Have No Grip, and so as we wait for Deckers to come through, let's get started, shall we? I Have No Grip. Well, you have gone against the meaning of your name, and you took that by 26 seconds. Congratulations on a fanatic win. That was incredible from yourself. Was it always the one stop, or were you thinking about a 2-stop at any point in the race?
Well, first, thank you. But no, it was always going to be a one-stop. Always planning for the one-stop. The safety car helped, but the one-stop was always on.
And obviously, it's been a bit of inconsistency between qualifying and the race for you. Like, take for example last week, you start on pole and then you find yourself all the way down to 11th by the end of the race. Was there a certain statement you wanted to come into this week with to say, look, I know I'm fast in qualifying, but I can be fast in the race too. Just give me a chance. And was that the week where you needed to prove that to not just yourself, but to maybe everybody else?
Yeah, well, I think I just took a couple of minutes to do a little bit more practicing on my consistency, and I think also talking to Dan Lovett, he's helped me a lot as well, just trying to keep myself calm going into the race, and everything went well today.
It couldn't have gone any better for yourself. Just even looking at my point of view, to be honest, I have no complaints here. But like, what? Just out of curiosity, what were the life of your hearts at that final lap?
Final up, I need to check, but I'm pretty sure there was something like 50-something%.
50%. That's pretty good. I would say so myself. But finally, of course, now that you've got this incredible win here, is this a championship that you can realistically chase?
I'm going to give it a go. The calendar is quite favourable towards me, so I'll give it a crack.
I Have No Grip. No more questions from me. Congratulations again on your win. See you next week.
Thank you. See you next week, mate.
Next up, we have last week's winner, JP, having to settle for second best, but still a good haul of points. JP, congratulations on the second place at the very least. I Have No Grip was just that bit better, and it looked like it was just lost on strategy, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the one stop was never on. My tyres were absolutely cooked, even on the hard tyres. It felt good for the first 5-10 laps, and then it all just sort of rumbled away. So, no, I'm very happy to see I Have No Grip win. Obviously, myself being a commentator as well, I've seen a lot of his races. And if it isn't me that's winning, I would want it to be him. But overall, I'm happy with what I did, especially from where I qualified.
You say that, but you came into tonight leading the championship, and now he's gone and made a little bit of an impression. Will you be saying that in a few weeks' time if I Have No Grip can keep this up?
Probably not. But while we're still, while we're still friendly and we haven't had the proper on track battles yet, no, I'm very happy for him. I mean, over some of the guys that scored last week, I've scored a few more points. It's consistent. It's P1 then P2, so I wasn't expecting anything from this race again. I mean, especially after where I qualified. Last week was a really big surprise to qualify third. So this week was kind of a bit back down to earth, being ninth. And I didn't really expect much to gain in the race. I did get very lucky with Dembliss disconnecting, which kind of gave me P2. But apart from that, I'm happy with how the race went. Just need to get a little bit more practice in before next week.
And just from last week to this week as well, we've obviously had 2 or 3 drivers leave the championship for their own reasons. So obviously, Den Bliss is the name you've mentioned, and you've obviously mentioned I Have No Grip. Is there anybody else you're kind of looking around and saying this is probably who I'm going to be fighting with over the season?
I mean, definitely Den Bliss and I Have No Grip. I think they're going to be the two that are really up there. I think Harry's definitely a threat if he can fix his disconnection issues, because that's both races now that he's been kind of stripped away from it all. But Harry can definitely be up there with us. Dan Lovett's always quick on his day. It's the same with the new guy in the Alpine, Shoei Rudberg, I think his name is. He's very quick, but it's very early doors, so I'm just trying to take it race by race, not get too caught up in the championship, and just see how the races progress. And then if we get towards the business end of the season and there is a championship maybe on the cards, then we can start thinking about what we need to do.
And you've had a lot of learning to do. Obviously, you joined in late as a driver last season, and you're currently on, if my mathematics is correct, and I'm remembering this correct off the top of my head, between season 1 and 2, 3 podiums in a row so far. So, going through these podiums now, what are you taking away from each race that you are learning from?
It's all a learning experience. Like I say, the first couple of races that I stood in for at the back end of last season, they were my first ever 100% races. So to finish second in, I think it was Vegas, then win last week, second here, it's just trying to maintain the consistency, because that's what wins a world championship. But I'm just trying to, take in as much information as I can, learn about the other drivers around me, what my strengths are, my weaknesses are, and incorporate that into my practice, and watch all the races back, see if there's anything that I could have done better, and just treat it all as a learning experience so I can be better going forward.
Finally, we are off to Silverstone next week. It's your home Grand Prix. Are you feeling confident?
Not at all. I absolutely hate Silverstone with a passion.
Goodness.
Although saying that, I did say that about Bahrain and I won it, so there might be a chance. But I mean, there's a lot of drivers that this is the home Grand Prix for, so I'm sure everyone is going to be very riled up for it, very ready to go. But I mean, obviously, if there's any race you want to win in Formula One, it's your home Grand Prix. So we will give it absolutely everything, and if it happens, it will be generational, but no promises.
Well, we'll hold you up to those words then. Well, JP, we'll of course welcome you back to the commentary box in the other divisions, but for tonight, congratulations on second, and we'll see you back in the driver's seat next week.
Thank you very much, my friend.
Bye-bye for now. Last but most definitely not least, Deckers, there was a bit of contact between a few drivers and yourself, but you brought it home in third place. Congratulations on your podium. How are you feeling after all of that?
I'm actually buzzing, but I'm being told that I might not keep the podium. So, a bit disappointing. But
go on.
A lot of collisions with Meldrum, and I heard he's not happy, but obviously from my point of view, I thought it was his fault. But yeah, we'll carry on with the stewards after.
Obviously, I understand you want to keep that between the stewards. We only really caught the middle of the contact. Do you know how it was kind of initiated, if you just don't mind explaining that? I'm not interested in like, who was at fault, but just from your point of view, how did the incident begin and what led up to that collision from your point of view?
Yeah, which collision?
The one where Meldrum actually went spinning like a ballerina in the air.
Oh, no, I don't think that was me. I think that was Traps,
wait. Sorry, I'm getting you mixed up now. Sorry about that. I shouldn't be doing that. But anyway, but obviously, I think we did catch quite a few, but there were so many collisions in that race that it's just hard to remember each individual one. But that one in the air was certainly memorable. But obviously now, podium for you this week, but maybe. Yep. I might have also had a little message, but I can neither confirm or deny that. Obviously, going through to next week, we're off to Silverstone. And what are you hoping to take away from this race that you can learn into the next race, obviously barring all the contact and everything like that?
Well, to be fair, I'm just got to stay out of Meldrum's way, innit? Because he was complaining a lot in VC, so I'm just like, I don't want to really deal with him, but seems like we're creating a few enemies. But I do like Silverstone, so another podium maybe.
Well, we'll see how that goes for you. Deckers, congratulations on a temporary P3 for now. And we'll see you next week in Silverstone. Bye for now.
I'll see you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. And with that, we wrap up for another week here in Nitro Realistic Racing League. We are obviously have completed round 2. We have 10 rounds this season. We will be officially concluding on the 19th of December in Abu Dhabi, the Yas Marina circuit. But next week, we're obviously off to Silverstone, and then it is one of the Triple Crown of Motorsports the week after Monaco. I am nervous about that one, if I'm going to be honest with you. And I've seen my fair share of Monaco races across several leagues, not just... well, I think, yeah, I've commentated all 3 leagues, and all 3 leagues had their own chaos. Let's just say that for free. But otherwise, that is all from myself. JP will welcome you back in the other divisions. I do believe we might be live tomorrow, and JP will obviously be back with you. I'm only your Friday commentator, but otherwise, it has been my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Dan, for allowing me to do this. Thank you to the admins and the drivers as well for all their hard work and putting this show on for us every single week. And it's been a pleasure to cast and broadcast it and commentate over it. I cannot thank them enough at NRRL. Thank you all so much for watching, though. We all thank you for watching here and chatting with us along the way. And we will see you next week in Silverstone. From myself and everybody at NRRL, we wish you all a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Stay safe, stay alive. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.